a lot of people associate fetishes with sexuality or sex, okay? Fetishes are anything. Basically, fetishes are anything that someone has an obsession about. Like people have foot fetishes. That's a very, very, very common one, okay? So fetishes, I mean, a lot of fetishes are just like no big deal. You know, some people just like and enjoy different things, and like foot fetish, it's not, you know, it's like it can be a really cool thing. But what we're looking at are the fetishes that could actually be harmful or dangerous, okay? So sometimes things like easy fetishes, I've actually read about, and because doing my work, you hear about lots of things. So sometimes people, adults, you know, you'd never think this, but sometimes adults want to be like babies, and they'll put diapers on, or they'll put, you know, clothing on, or wear, you know, do things that babies do, even get in cribs. Danger in that one be the crib could break and you might fall and fall down and get hurt, okay? And then other fetishes that really don't have anything to do with sexuality. I mean, that's probably the big thing, is that there's a lot of fetishes that people have. And sometimes too, I think people have fetishes and don't realize it. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes if there's something that you're obsessing on, like you can have a chocolate fetish.
It's definitely one of those staples when we get together we have to have.
Yeah. So the fetishes that could potentially become dangerous are fetishes that have to do with a lot of sexuality. Like sometimes people actually, and I know you all know this, I think you've all heard of this, where people like to do some kind of asphyxiation.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then also with the sexual energy, sexual fetishes, people can actually, they become dependent on that particular fetish in order to have to have their experience, to have their release, basically. So things that are dangerous, that can actually potentially cause physical harm or even death, are things that, you know, we want to be aware of. Or if in fact someone has that kind of tendency, then it's a good thing to unravel and clear out some of the energies that are interfering with that. I mean, you know, it's like unless you don't really care whether you're going to get hurt or, you know, things like that. But also with fetishes too, it's like it needs to be with consenting. If you're going to be doing something with other people, then it's consenting adults. And that doesn't mean somebody who's mentally ill, but people that are together, that are totally aware of their choices, and they make those choices based on, you know, something that they choose and they want.
Sensual predators, is that another level, or is that just a fetish
That's different.
Okay.
Yeah, it is different. Sexual predators, you know, they're like, it's like, it's like a predator, you know what I mean? They're stalking, they're looking at, but that's the thought behind the thinking or the desire is it's about sexual energy, sexual things. The fetishes is something that is ongoing. Like, for example, a foot fetish, okay? Someone who's really into that, they're always checking out people's feet, and, you know, there's a desire to be touching feet, or, you know, massaging, or whatever they do with feet, okay? It could be anything. Foot up the butt, man, okay? That could be a little dangerous, okay? Oh, that reminds me. Okay, I know you've all heard of, sorry, you guys. I know you've all heard of fetishes where they've used gerbils. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
You guys, I'm telling you, I know people, okay? So people have had to go to the hospital and have gerbils removed.
Oh no.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. Okay? They're putting something live inside their body, and then they can't get it out. You know, of course it's going to die in there, but...
I know, I'm squirming. It's like,
You gotta train it better.
Or even objects that get stuck inside, or things get broken off, whatever. So those are dangerous fetishes, okay? And then also too, the asphyxiation thing, I know this, people know about this. Sometimes the strangulation or even plastic bags over the head or even tying things around the throat while someone's having their experience, and then at the moment of the release, and then there's even a more tightening, but someone can actually die. Okay, so things that are dangerous, things that can be harmful, not to just yourself but to other people, then that's where we want to start cleaning things up. It's normal to have quirky little things that you enjoy or that you like or that you're drawn to, no big deal. But when you're actually causing harm, then that becomes not okay. You're taking rights away from other people and you're jeopardizing your own well-being. So, unraveling that kind of thing. So let's just share a little bit about where does this really come from, okay? Now, there are situations in this lifetime that do contribute to people having these desires and things get really out there. Like, for example, way back I had friends, client, whatever, and when he was young, he got involved with photograph, like movies, and he got involved in the pornographic aspect of movies, of films. And being really young, something happened for him because in these pornographic films, I guess what are they called? X-rated movies?
Yeah, triple X.
Triple X, those kinds of things. So things get kind of out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody's ever seen any of these. But the actual sexual acts and the different things can get really, really bizarre, okay? So what happens is sometimes you get introduced to or around things that are really, really unusual and bizarre, so that normal experiences no longer feel exciting or stimulating anymore, okay? So what happened for him was he got really involved in the really strange things, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen or know about, but like barbed wire, being tied up with barbed wire, okay? Oh, here's another one. Things like urination, being urinated on, or I actually had, you guys, I'm telling you, I'll go for real, okay? I actually had a client student that was married, and her husband actually liked her to defecate on him, okay? So it's not so much that that's dangerous, but if you're ingesting anything, you're taking in toxins and poisons, so it's not a good thing, okay? But like I said, if you both like it and enjoy it, not my business, okay? So it's like, where did this all begin? So for him, that's what seemingly it began, was, okay, somehow he got involved, and now by seeing all these bizarre experiences, you keep pushing the edge to go further and further and further as far as you can possibly go. And then this is the difficulty, is sometimes people start taking to the edge of death, or at that moment, just don't let them die, but bring them, don't let that happen, but take them right to the edge. So that can be dangerous. But anything that where the body is being bound up, or think strangulation, all these different things can cause potential death or potential harm, physical harm to the person. But if we look at the energy and we really start tracking, I think I've said this before, I know I've said it before, but whatever someone's experiencing, it did not really start in this lifetime. So if we go back to this man that is a younger guy, like he was in his teens when he started filming. And if we look at that, we can say, well, that's where it began in his life. Well, that's not true, okay? Everything that you're experiencing, you have drawn to you, or you have agreed to participate or to have these experiences based on past incarnations. Okay, so you as an evolving spirit, evolving soul, have had many, many, many experiences. So if we go back to like different time periods, remember what was that guy's name? The Desaad?
Marquis de Sade.
Marquis de Sade. Okay, so that guy, he went, he really was opening up some doors for different kinds of experiences, and most people, it was like they thought he was like really out there. But if you go back even further, look at time, like the Romans, and remember the information around that, the orgies, all the different experiences that people were having. So it goes even further back. I mean, that sexual energy, and like I said, fetishes are not necessarily only about sexuality. Fetishes are anything that's like constant, like that desire that doesn't stop. You want it all, you know what I mean? That's what your thing is. But if we go back even further in time, I mean, if even going back to Neanderthal times, I mean, weird things. Okay, you've seen cartoons,
Flashes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There
Yeah.
was a medicine woman having sex with a tiger, and somehow it healed the clan of something, from a kind of attack.
Well, what's happening nowadays? It's still happening in Mexico. Women having sex with donkeys. You know this, right? Okay.
I've heard about it.
You've heard about it. Yes. Donkeys, dogs. Okay. So people go and watch this kind of stuff. They're enjoying it. They're getting something out of it. Okay. My point is it didn't. All this energy, all these distortions around the human experience, whether it be sexually or just physically, the sensations, the stimulations, the quirkiness of it, the intensity of it, it didn't begin just recently or just in the lifetimes that we're aware of, but it started way, way back, okay? I mean, even way back, if you look at the cartoons or even jokes around the caveman, bonking the woman over with a big old club. Okay? And even in the book Clan of the Cave Bear, okay, remember? They were having, when, it was like one of the men, male species, would just take the woman, okay? So, force. But basically, we look at where's it really coming from. And see, the other thing too is people are hiding it unless they're like specifically with someone they feel comfortable with, and that's who they're doing this with. But basically, people aren't going around sharing who they are, what they do, when it's this kind of distortion. I also had a friend, who basically sells pornographic video. Big business, a lot of money. The guy's making bank. But does he tell anybody what he does or what he sells? He does not. Why is that? Because he's ashamed of it. He's got a judgment of it. He's believing there's something wrong with it. Otherwise, he wouldn't care who knew. Okay? So when things start to get hidden, that's when they turn bad. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're out up front with who we are, whatever that is, whatever our preferences are, whatever we enjoy, it's all good. It doesn't really matter as long as you're doing what you do with consenting adults, mature, aware, conscious, not mentally ill or incapable, but healthy adults. Everything's good. But that hiding piece. So people that have fetishes that they have judgments on, they're not exposing that and going around saying, "Hey, I'm looking at your feet," or whatever. Or wait, could you bend over? How about a gerbil? Okay, so people aren't talking about it, okay? In fact, what's really kind of trippy is sometimes you can actually be having friends that you think and then you come to find out that they got some really, really out there fetish. And it kind of trips you out. It changes how you feel about a friend. It really does, okay? So, because our society really does have like a lot of ideas and beliefs around what's right and what's wrong. I mean, even masturbation is considered a sin. Like when they tell you, I grew up, when they tell you in Catholic Church, it's a sin. I remember my grandmother telling my brother, you're going to grow hair on your hand or something like that, okay? So, we're just being taught that things are not okay. So when we begin to feel like we have a desire or we like something, first thing we want to do is hide it if we think somebody else is going to judge it or make it wrong, okay? And so the hiding component is where things start to go what I call like underground, okay? So then it becomes more hidden. If things were more exposed, kind of like in Amsterdam, they got the prostitutes in the window, no big deal. There's not a problem there. You're not having rapes, you're not having sexual assault problems like we do in our country. So the more things get exposed, the more liberated we are, the less propensity to go into distortion happens. Okay, so that distortion occurs because once it becomes hidden and once it becomes taboo, not okay, we feel guilty, we feel like we're doing something wrong, there's something wrong with us, and yet we're having a thought or a desire. We got to do something about it. We got to make sure nobody ever finds out. We got to hide that. So the hiding is also what creates some of the problems with where it becomes dangerous, okay, where it becomes problematic. So basically we look at, in the clearing, what I'm looking at is looking into past incarnational experiences. Where did this all really begin? And sometimes too, people had experiences in the past, meaning past lives, where there was a lot of trauma. And what happens when we get hurt in this lifetime? If you think about your life right now, and let's just say something happens, you get hurt, what's the first thing you want to do is you want to hurt back. Okay? There's something in us that's like, yeah, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. Okay, that's like a knee-jerk reaction. So we have a reactive experience. So if you had past experiences where traumatic things happen, and you're carrying that forward and you haven't released it, then somewhere you're going to want to cause some kind of discomfort or pain, or just where power over. Even some of the fetishes also have like objects, clothing, things that have to do outside the physical body. People get into dominatrix stuff. They get into things like latex and rubber and leathers and things like that. Not that it's a big deal, but pushing it far enough, then it does become dangerous. Okay.
These images are coming in, and I'm just like, clothespins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Clothespins all over.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, all kinds of things. I mean, if you can imagine it, it's happened. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we look at that, but we also look at, remember, we also look at what's inside the body that's not you, which meaning entities, thought forms, trauma, shock, different energy that is actually comes into your body, perpetrator energy. Because remember that whatever we hold inside, that's the magnet that pulls to us the same, only different energy of people. So people that have passed on, that didn't go into the light, that are hanging around on the earth plane, you're the perfect host if you have the frequency that matches their frequency. So you become vulnerable for things and people to come into your physical body. And then of course that compounds your experience. It compounds your feelings, your emotions, your reactions, your thoughts, all of it. And people don't realize that these thoughts are not yours. It's kind of a trip. I've had people just having these thoughts, just run them, take out some of the entities that are in the body, and the thoughts are gone instantly, never to return again. Okay? So the interferences are profound. Okay? Oh, this is another thing I wanted to say. So sometimes in clearings, like we'll have a topic, and the person, we might think, well, that doesn't apply to me because I don't really have that issue. Okay? I'm going to tell you straight up. If it exists in the world, you have that issue. It may be really buried. It may not be on the surface yet. It may not be in this lifetime where it's presenting, but it is in your energy field because everyone has been the perpetrator and everyone has been the victim on all levels, unless you're like a totally new being coming in, but actually these new beings coming in are actually ancient beings, So we're not really having someone come in that's never had incarnations, okay? So everyone's had experiences, whether this dimension or another one. And we're carrying these experiences forth, carrying them forward. So with anything that we've got buried. So let's just say that right now you're trying to think, well, I don't really have anything that I feel like there's an issue, or my addiction, or like chocolate. I want to smear chocolate all over your body and lick it off, and I need to do that every single time in order to have my experience. That's a fetish, okay? So it's not a bad one, it's just a fetish. But the ones that become dangerous are the ones that, like I said, that cause harm or potentially could cause death. But what happens too is sometimes people, it has to get more intense. You know what I mean? I call it red line. People have to push the line to the red, to where it becomes really, really dangerous. And it may start off very simply, but they don't get the same feeling, there's not the same reaction. They need that stimulation, and so it gets more and more and more and more intense until we really push the edges. And that's when it becomes like inappropriate. So that kind of experience is being driven, propelled through things like entities and past lives and interferences, and sometimes there can be like implants in the body. I've talked about implants before, but let me just share a little bit about implants. Implants can actually be placed in the body, and they can be constructed in a way that will affect you on an emotional level. So you'll have a thought or a feeling or a desire. They can tweak that so that you can be repulsed by something, as well as you can be excited by something. Okay, so implants can have to do with anything of your life. And sometimes they take implants and they've put them in people's bodies in past incarnational experiences, and they're continually tracking that individual as they reincarnate, and making sure that these implants continue to keep the same kind of energy, thoughts, beliefs going for lifetimes. It's just like science. It's just like a research. They just want to know scientific research on who are you, what will happen if we do this, if we tweak this a little bit. What if we make this person all of a sudden start having desires that they never had before? They're not going to know where it's coming from, but let's just see what happens. So that affects the mind, the emotions, and the nervous system. So the implants also can be very powerful and effective. So by taking those out, things can change instantly. So some of the interferences also are the dark force interference. So we have interferences from the powers of darkness that are also contributing to different situations. And then we have other people's beliefs and thought forms, like the collective consciousness. We're all kind of plugged into the collective consciousness until we start consciously unplugging, and then we can actually extract ourselves from that. But it's an energy that is all around. It's in our whole energy. It's like a big old grid that people are plugged into. So that too can affect people's thoughts, feelings, desires, all of that. And then also perpetrator energy. So if you've got energy inside your body that's emotional energy that belongs to somebody else, you are going to be affected by that. Okay? So perpetrator energy is emotional energy. So let's just say you have an experience when you're young with somebody who's got some kind of fetish. They emotionally push their energy into your body, so their feelings are in you. Their shame's in you. Their desires in you. All kinds of energy is left in your body. You don't know that that's happened. You have no sense of that. All you know is now you're having thoughts and feelings. You don't know where they came from, and you don't know how to get rid of them, but you're affected by that. So perpetrator energy is something also we want to take out. So in the clearing, we are covering all the components, all the facets of it. And also what we want to do in the clearing too, just so you know, you can invite and call in your friends, your family, whoever you'd like to have, get the clearing, okay? So the best way to do that is to just hold whoever you want to pull into the room. Think of them, and they don't even have to be alive. Here's the good news about people that are on the other side. By clearing energy in their energy field, they're not going to carry it forward into their future incarnational experiences, which is really cool. So traumas and shocks and really intense things that you know that perhaps they've lived, or even if you don't know, it doesn't matter, it starts to get removed so that when they are in their next experience, they're not carrying forward all the debris that they've had. So when you call them in, like I said, you hold them in your awareness, you ask for their presence to come into the room. When you do that, I actually see them. Okay, it doesn't matter who it is, but I see their presence, okay? So you'll be calling people in. And then also what's going to happen is I'm going to have you ask for my energy, my presence, my awareness to be standing right beside you. What that does is it allows me to actually work with you as though you're the only person here, okay? Even though there could be many people, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter whether you're listening to this later on a recording or if you're in another place, location, it's all working, it's all effective. And that's how it's effective, is you call me in. So on a recorded, just so people know, on the video, like if you're on the membership or even if you're just getting a video, then when you call me in, you will feel my presence with you. So even when I'm talking on the video, that aspect of me is doing exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Okay, so calling the presence in is important. And then you'll feel that. So that's really cool. Also feeling the energy, feeling the how it makes you feel is also what helps to light things up. Okay, so what I mean by that is you think about thoughts, let yourself feel how that makes you feel, and then you let it go. Because the emotions are what lights things up. So the moment you let yourself feel an emotion attached to whatever the topic is, the energies that are contributing to that actually literally present. For example, if you're feeling into since today's like doing fetish thing, if there's anything that you become aware of that you're going, maybe that could be a fetish, but maybe not, but maybe let's say that it is, okay. So if there's any shame in there, if there's any like hiding or whatever the feelings are, that's what you want to feel into. And when you do that, what happens is it shows me where it's coming from. It shows me past life, it shows me the entities, it shows me perpetrator energies, it shows me all kinds of things. So as we release that from your body, then who you are, more of you, your true essence presents, which is that divine light, creator incarnate.